So my next guest today is Johnny Nichols from Hanwha. Nice to see you again, Johnny.
Yep, thank you, Trevor. Good to see you.
So you know my first question every time. It's always what's new.
Yeah.
But you do have a couple of new things on your XM series, so let's talk about that.
Yes, sir. Very good. All right. So, with Hanwha, we've got 4 families of machines. All right. We have mid-speed systems and we have high-performance systems, right?
Yeah.
And what we've been focusing on over the last couple of years is multifunction capability or high flexible, high versatility platforms and things, predominantly to handle some of the larger parts that companies are asking us to be able to process on the pick-and-place machine.
Okay.
So what we have developed and what's new with us in our product line is the HM520F machine. F stands for flexibility. And what it is it's a machine that gives us compatibility with legacy systems, so customers that have investments in feeders and docking carts and things like that, and even programs, our knowledge of maintenance and things like that.
Yeah.
We've taken some of the wide-ranging capability of the HM520W and now bridged that over to the XM520F.
Okay.
So now the people that have investments in DCAN or SM series can actually realize an odd form or a higher capability multifunction machine in the form of an XM520F that can do SMT, it can do through-hole insertion, it can do really tall parts, really large parts, really heavy parts, and if you need 100 newtons of insertion force,
Right.
the same machine that it was known for doing that on the HM side, which is the HM520W, now it can be done on the XM520F.
Yeah, so you've really beefed up the heads and the handling systems in there to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And when you do that, as we were talking earlier, there's trade-offs with things
Yeah.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So when you start looking at the range, the spectrum of what people are wanting to place today, sure, we're going smaller. Everybody wants to go smaller. Mini LED, micro LED, all of this and that.
I know, but
And with that comes an accuracy expectation too, right? But today's manufacturers of pick and place are being asked to deliver machines that can still place at tighter accuracy specs, right? And they still want to go smaller, but they want to go much bigger, much taller, much heavier today.
Right.
So a flexible mounter today versus a flexible mounter 10 years ago is significantly different.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of thing you see in reality with the XM520F or the HM520W
right.
machines.
Yeah, when you see some of these big, larger components and that coming in on the 5G boards and all these
Yes, sir.
Types of things and things for EV,
Yep.
as you mentioned earlier, certainly the variety has changed completely.
Right.
But, there is a trade-off, as you say. It slows things down a little bit if you're trying to
It does, yeah.
do all things for all men in one machine. There's definitely a market for that in the tier 3s and tier 4 guys, but you say there's also people in the tier 1s that are driving this too. So explain that to me.
Yeah, it depends on the products that are being built. Whether you're an EMS company or an OEM that's still looking to do things, we're still being asked to handle the standard range of SMT parts, but there's other processes that some of these larger companies are typically using people to handle insertion of parts with, right? So when you start looking at machines like an XM520, that's a machine that's designed to handle mixed technology,
Yeah.
not just SMT, but through-hole. That doesn't mean you would do it on the same line, but instead of having a secondary process that's done by people, right? If you could take 5 people or 6 people and actually turn them into a machine that can do the same thing basically, but give you a higher level of repeatability and certainly more throughput and things like that. That's where you start to see some of the advantage of the XM520F,
Right.
because that's the kind of machine, albeit it's slower than an SMT mounter,
Yeah.
but it's not made to compete with that. It's actually made to compete with manual
Yes.
insertion when you're using it for the THT application. So with larger tier companies, larger tier contract manufacturers, these EMS companies that are out here, everyone is looking for a tool that can give them greater efficiency, greater repeatability, and just to be able to do not just insertion of one part, it needs to be flexible enough to
Right.
do a wider variety of parts. And therein is a challenge with all multifunction machines. The automated tools that are out there are good at placing a couple, 3 parts, but they're not good at placing a really wide range of parts, whereas a human being can adapt much
Yes.
better to that, right?
Of course. Right. So, is the XM530F is it available now? Is it
The XM520F?
520F? Sorry.
Yes, sir. It certainly is.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Well, okay. Congratulations, and thank you for coming in and telling us about it today. And we'll look up to catching up with you probably at the next show.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Trevor.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to see you.
For micro dispensing, there is one product line that is proven and trusted by manufacturers in semiconductor packaging, electronics assembly, medical device, and electromechanical assembly the world over. DL Technology, superior pumps and needles for the finer things in life.